Go ahead and talk now about your final presentation for the Civil War project. You guys chose the biography project, selected your person. There are two things that you will need to turn in by February 24th. That is your actual presentation that you have put together and the document analysis form. I'll speak about both. So I put everything on this same page so I don't have to flip back and forth, but in the Canvas module for the Civil War project, you have your biography project overview. So this information that's below this is cut directly from that. So obviously you're going to want to go in and take a look at it. So you'll click on that and slide down to step 3, which is creating a presentation. So if your research is complete, it is now time to start putting together your presentation. I'm going to assume that most of you are going to do a digital presentation. You don't have to, but I think that's what I anticipate. You can use slides, you can use PowerPoint. There are other programs out there maybe that you're more comfortable with, maybe have learned about in other classes. I'm okay with any presentation style as long as you're able to share it with me. If you can't share it with me, then don't use it because I need to be able to grade it. So I'm going to, again, somewhat assume that most of you are going to use Google Slides. What this is showing you right here is if you're using Google Slides or something like PowerPoint, what each slide should look like. You absolutely should have this open as you're creating your presentation. I also think it should go in the order that I have it on here. So the first slide that you'll have is somewhat of an introduction slide. It's kind of like if we're writing an essay, you write an introduction paragraph. 2 or 3 sentences, spending some time introducing your person and explaining why they're well known or important. And I've put off to the side one slide. That's my suggestion for the introduction slide. What I want to see next is the timeline or the key events. You have to have 10 of these and make sure a lot of them are from the Civil War. I would probably avoid key events being born and dying. I wouldn't include those. I don't think those are key events in people's lives. I get it. We're born and we die, but that's not what made the person famous or well known. So avoid those things. For each event, you need to at least 1 to 2 complete sentences describing the event. Some of the events may need more than that, depending on how big they are. One thing I do not want to see is this, what I have highlighted right there. I do not want to see all 10 events on one slide. I would suggest maybe 2 or 3 per slide. So your key events will end up being 3 to 4 different slides. With PowerPoint, with slides, with these visual presentations, and you guys see this in class, and I'm guilty of it sometimes also, when a ton of information is on one slide, it overwhelms the reader. So it's better to use more slides as opposed to fewer slides. Once you're done with that, your next section is the person's contributions to American history in general. That should be 4+ sentences. I recommend 1 to 2 slides. Then a separate slide or slides of their contributions during the Civil War. That's 1 to 2 slides. I don't want to see overlap here. Okay, all of these people did stuff outside of the Civil War. So whatever you mention for the Civil War, I shouldn't see in their contributions to American history. If you're confused by that, ask me about that. You also need to include, and this is what should come next, a quote either about the person or from the person that gives insight. So you're going to put that quote up there. You also need to explain the quote, why it's impactful, why it's important. Then you need to have an image or an object that symbolizes the person with his or her claim to fame. For instance, I'm trying to think of something. Abraham Lincoln. Let's say you chose Abraham Lincoln, which wasn't an option. The object I would probably show would probably be the Emancipation Proclamation. I think that's the thing that he's most well known for. So I would have that up there, and then I would have an explanation of what it is and why it's impactful. In addition, you need 5 or more pictures throughout the presentation that represents the person's life. Do not put these all at the end. Put these as you go through. For instance, up here, when you're talking about the key events, and let's say you have a couple of key events, I would explain the key events on one slide, and I would have a picture relating to one of those events. Again, do not put all the pictures just at the end, and your first 8 or 10 slides is just words. That's just not good presentation. You can certainly use more than 5. So if you add this up, based on this guideline, it ends up being 8 to 11 slides. If it goes over that because you're being detailed, I'm okay with that. If you are choosing to do it on like a museum style display, a triboard or a poster board, that's fine. I'm giving you that option. I would suggest having different areas of the poster. So you have one area that has the key events. You have another area separate that is contributions to American history, contributions to the Civil War. So set it up so it's not just like this hodgepodge and just all mixed in. Have separate areas so the viewer can see it and understand it easily. Once you are done with that, you also have a document analysis. And I'll just read from this. It says, in addition to creating a presentation, you will need to complete a document analysis for one of, not necessarily pictures, for one of the documents from your presentation. The analysis, I'm giving you 2 choices on this. It can be either a written document or a political cartoon. It cannot be a photograph at all, period. Photographs are off the table for you guys. I have posted the analysis sheet on Canvas. I'll show you that. Here are kind of your guidelines. Primary source document has to be from that time period. Political cartoon or a written document could be a diary entry, it could be a letter, it could be a government document, as long as it's written. Has to relate to your person in some way. Again, if I was doing Abraham Lincoln, I would use the Emancipation Proclamation. One thing, especially with political cartoons or even the written document, don't use the first one you find. Look at it, read through it. If it's a political cartoon, figure it out. If you don't understand it completely, find something else, because you're going to have to analyze it. And if you end up analyzing something you don't understand, you're probably not going to fare too well. Once you've decided on either the political cartoon or the written document and you found it, this is a mistake. I'm just going to show you. Don't read that. It's this guy that you're looking for, the project document analysis form, and I'll show you that down below. That's what you're looking for. So by the 24th, you will turn in your presentation to me, and you will do the document analysis. So scrolling down, these are just your due dates. If you do a digital presentation, you have to share it with me. I need that in by the 24th. There's my email. Okay, let's talk about the document analysis form. So again, when you're ready to do this, you're going to click on Project Document Analysis Form. One thing I have done on this, and I'm not doing this to confuse you, I'm just doing this so our gradebook doesn't become a mess, is I've put all the document analysis forms for all the projects on here. So you're going to see like 6 or 7 of them. You're only choosing one, and I'll show you where it is. So biography, 2 options, written document, political cartoon, analysis. Has to be from the time period. Make sure you understand it. The instructions for all of them are the same. Complete sentences are required on every question. Proper spelling and grammar. Sentence requirements, the more detailed you can be, the better. The document analysis is worth a third of your grade. It's a 30-point project, so it's worth 10 points. So what I've seen in the past, I've seen people spend a lot of time on the presentations, and they've had great presentations, and they got a 20 out of 20 on that section. But then they kind of blow off the document analysis, and they spend 10 minutes on it, and they get a 4 out of 10. So suddenly that grade that was 100%, you get a 4 out of 10, now you have a 24 out of 30, and your entire project grade is dropping down to an 80%. So spend the time on it. So when you open up that document analysis form, you'll see the artifact one first. You're scrolling. You didn't do an artifact. Yours is going to come next. And if you did the written document, this is the form you're going to use. If you use the political cartoon, you're going to keep scrolling, and this is the one you're going to use. For both of them, what you have to do, I won't grade it if you don't do it. If you used a political cartoon, you're going to cut and paste and put the political cartoon in this box, and you're also going to provide me with the URL of it. The URL is the web address. Same thing for the written document. You got to give me the URL. You got to give me a copy of the document. Won't grade it if you don't do it. Final thing, because I didn't show you, but I'm telling you. On your project overview, if you scroll down to the very bottom, there's a link to your rubric. That rubric is exactly how I'm going to grade this project. So absolutely, before you submit any work, look at the rubric, make sure use it as a checklist.